Preface. As far back as we can tell, the office of the Polemarch leads us to ancient Greece and dialogue in Plato's Republic, written around 375 BC. Though dying 30 years prior to its being written, Polemarchus is seen as one of the philosophers who accompanied Socrates in his exploration of the nature of justice. He is a much more dominant figure than one who simply entered in dialogue with Socrates, as it takes place in his home beside his father's shield-making business in the Piraeus. The Piraeus was then and even now a major port city within Greater Athens, of the administrative region of Attica. Now Greece's fifth largest municipality and second largest after Athens in its urban area, the Piraeus was certainly an invaluable urban center for commerce and philosophy as well. The port in Piraeus is Greece's main port and Europe's largest for passenger travel. But Polemarchus wasn't from the Piraeus, as he was born in Syracuse, Italy. His father Cephalus was an arms manufacturer and wealthy medic who had 3 sons: Lysias, himself, Euthydemus, and one daughter who married Brachillas. When Lysias was about 15 years old, him and Polemarchus would travel to Thurii. Polemarchus' father was invited to Athens by Pericles, where he would set up shop and reside behind his shield manufacturing business, where 150 slaves would work. With the Republic taking place just before the Peloponnesian War, where Athens lost to Sparta, the life of Polemarchus marks a high point in the history of Greece in general and Athens in particular. Polemarchus manufactured shields, but he was more so a philosopher. Being more disposed than most, if not all, the Polemarch is of the better of those in a chapter, as he mustn't only think for himself but also of the body of which he takes responsibility. Inheriting his father's business, he also inherited his father's argument in Plato's Republic. Holding initially that justice is helping one's friends and harming one's enemies, Polemarchus enters into dialogue with Socrates, where they conclude that justice is meant to harm no one, but benefits the entirety of the whole. Introduction. In this book we explain how to run for Polemarch, and more so the knowledge that those becoming such come to inherit, but being Greek to most others hear the title and equate it with president, when they are not the same. Comparing apples and oranges, a Polemarch is the chief officer of our clan, but we wouldn't say anyone presides over us. A senior military officer in various city-states of ancient Greece, Polemarch is derived from the Greek words polemos, embodiment of war, and archon, the 9 ancient magistrates of Athens, translating to war leader. And since from the preface we now know the history of Polemarchus and his support of Socrates' argument that justice is not meant to benefit or harm anyone who is Polemarch, but one who inherits this legacy. Being a Pan-Hellenic Greek and earning our fraternal shield, the Polemarch uses orthodox judgment to ensure the longevity of a local chapter, a larger province, and even our grand chapter without justice in mind. Pan-Hellenic Greeks are unique in that we hadn't converted to a Greek Orthodox position but pledged an undying loyalty to our Greek way of life. Conversion is an abandonment of one's principles for another's as in a state of need, while pledging is more of a barter, where those pledging bring more to the table than a humbled heart and a hungry stomach. Those pledging their support give leadership, in this case the Polemarch, a greater wealth of resources from which achievement may be actualized. The reflection of success in us, whether economically challenged or a doctor coming from a successful surgery, has a growing magnitude that suggests gravitation to the joy we have in being whichever clan of Pan-Hellenic body one is more attracted. Some people call it a coat of arms, while others have tried to be less aggressive, referring to it as our fraternal shield, but it is the essence of what the Polemarch is expected to do for those members who can't do it for themselves. Though famous for his philosophical dialogue with Socrates in Plato's Republic, we revere him and carry on his legacy, but we have blazed our own path. Without the justice in Plato's Republic, the Polemarch benefits his friends and harms his enemies. This was said in the Republic because the Polemarch is only satisfied when that's the case, despite his understanding of justice, due to the belief that he is right and good. With the methods, understanding, and tools, symbolically, figuratively and literally, engraved, affixed or however displayed, the Polemarch gravitates toward what his interpretation of the shield might direct him. One thing learning how to rub for Polemarch will hopefully give is a higher glass ceiling by which to rate, measure and pot effort in the joy found in celebrating achievement. With more of those of the orthodox position surrounding the Polemarch, so surrounded by friends he sees enemies from afar. With this orthodox position, war leader, coat of arms, and any type of fight is so far from physical outside of sports until it doesn't make sense. There are advertising wars and economic battles being fought daily. From competing gas stations to competing boxers, the Polemarch supports his friends and perhaps emotionally harms his enemies by taking his business with him, which consequently comes with those of similar opinion under his jurisdiction. Though it may have been more physical in times of old, this orthodox judgment in modern times only includes the Polemarch being a benefit to his friends, excluding his harm to the enemies of his friends. The Pan-Hellenic mindset may not allow members of different clans to agree on which will follow and who will lead. Greeks wouldn't consider other Greeks as enemies, because they are often few and far between. With each clan thinking they can save the world by their methods, there may difference so much so that it appears to resemble hatred, but it is only closely magnified differences. What is one color or shape to another? Though to some we may be speaking Greek, but to others, at least some, we are understood and highly acclaimed. We are only talking about, for those sympathetic to the Polemarch's influence. Come along with us.